impacted. Okay, if I'm at 30%, then the sufficient grace, the sufficient strength. So in my weakness, his strength, I get 70% of Jesus today. I get 70% of the Lord's strength because in my weakness, his strength. And it was just like, oh.
Yes.
And when I read it for the third time, it's like, man, even our Lord and Savior didn't want this cup. He didn't want that suffering. He accepted because he knew what he had to do, but he still asked for it inside of his own, struggle, right? But it was the first time for me to realize, man, if he struggled, like, hey, it's okay for me to struggle. Like, the first sign of a good dad or a good parent is you questioning, are you a good dad or a good parent or a good mother? Like, that's the first sign that you are doing well, because you're actually here in body enough to know that maybe I am failing, or maybe I am like shortchanging a little bit, but I can turn this around.
People see behaviors, they see meltdowns, they see struggles. What they don't see is the mindset it takes to keep showing up every single day in the autism journey. The exhaustion, the adapting, the grieving, the fighting for your child while trying not to lose yourself. Today we're talking with Tommy Ryan of Spectrum and Camouflage about mindset, not toxic positivity, not pretending things are easy, but the real mental battle parents face behind closed doors, specifically dads. And how do you stay grounded when life looks nothing like you expected? How do you keep hope alive in survival mode? How do you learn to see strength in a journey the world often misunderstands? This conversation is for every parent silently caring more than people know. Tommy, welcome back.
Dude, thanks for having me back. I'm pumped, and that was a deep intro. I love that, man. It's got me like ready to go.
Every once in a while, I can pull something out of the tricks
in your free time.
yeah.
Oh, dude, no, that's awesome. Mindset has been something for me that has just carried me through, and we'll, I'm sure, dive into the face side of that. But like we were just talking the other day, and it's like, hey, let's jump on and do something for the mindset. And you're like, I need this too right now. Like, you're going through a ton, and you're pouring so much effort into the autistic community and the caretakers and the parents. And it's just, as I said last time, and I mean it like tenfold now, like how admirable and honorable, and like, just like, dude, all the blessings to you and your family for what you're doing.
Oh, I appreciate it. I put out a post the other day because, I've heard some sermons recently, and it's all about how your life is God's story, and how we bear the image of God, and what image are you actually portraying? And I appreciate the feedback, and I it fuels me, really. Like, people are like, oh, I admire your strength, I admire this and that, and it always comes back to like, thank you, but honestly, there's so many days where I get to 10 a.m. and I'm like, how the frick am I going to make it to bedtime? And it always comes back to, it's not me, it's God. It's simple.
Well, and this is such a God thing, because I want to find her name, because and I don't know if I'll be able to pull it right up, but so my wife has followed, I put it on my story. So let me see here. She's an autism mom. It's Beauty in the Real. So
yes.
If you've not, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get her on the podcast. She politely said no.
Yeah, and I've not tried
it.
Yeah, it's like, well, after watching some of her stuff, like, I think that they are very, very private people who share a lot of amazing things. So it's a really unique, guarded life, and I love it. But what she said today on her story, and I'm going to try to regurgitate it best I can. If I can't, you should still go and look at it. It's on my story.
Okay.
But she was going through how she recently started wearing like some type of health watch, one of those that tracks your sleep, tracks your stress level, and all these things, right? And she's like, hers of course was always in the chronic stress level. She would wake up, and it gives you like a level of bandwidth through the day, so it sounds like, man, that's kind of intense, but she would wake up oftentimes and it'd be like 25% already or 30%, and she found that to
Jeez.
be very discouraging, right?
Yeah.
And which is the reason I've not like started wearing those watches, because I honestly don't want to see how close to, like cardiac arrest I am sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's like, I was looking at this in this negative light, when really, like, and she got into the scripture, and it basically is like, my grace will be sufficient in your day. And like, she got looking at the fact that, okay, if I'm at 30%, then the sufficient grace, the sufficient strength. So in my weakness, his strength, I get 70% of Jesus today. I get 70%
Ooh,
of the Lord's strength because in my weakness, his strength. And it was just like, oh,
that's
that is
the
really, really good. It's just like submitting to the fact that, yeah, I am on E. I have no bandwidth by 10 o'clock. So fill me with your mercy and strength that you've promised us, right? Like,
right.
it's there. Like, it's just to be leaned upon. Um, but I sympathize still with you, and just I continue want to encourage you, because yeah, bro, you do so much. So thank you.
Oh no, I appreciate it. It's like a. I had this conversation with my wife the other day in the hospital, and she's like, "How? Like, why do you do the podcast? Isn't it exhausting?" I'm like, "It's the opposite. I sit down with all these parents, and it's so admirable the way you guys show up under the circumstances, and I hear it. And a handful of the podcasts I do, like they don't have a relationship with God, and that is to
Mm-hmm.
me even more bizarre. I'm like, how the heck do you do that for your kid, and you don't even rely on God's strength? It's it's wild.
It's very wild. I don't know where they draw from either. And even though, like, I proclaim my faith openly, I know that I'm not like following or basically giving it up all the time. I know that I'm trying to carry it a lot on my own. So yeah, like, just
Oh
to
yeah,
think of the days where I'm like, you just get in the grind and you're not thinking about like, Lord, like, give me some strength. It's more just like, I'm just gonna power through.
yeah.
And it's like those days just keep getting harder and harder and harder. And it's like, all right, Lord, like, let me take your help right now. And without Christ, without the hope, whether or not it is this miraculous healing for my child, um, outside of that, still hope and prayer. Like, I still pray for that all the time, not out of just this unhappy, like, I'm unhappy with my situation. It's just, I want to, who doesn't want to see their child live a full, or I don't know how, how sensitive this community can be. It's like, yeah, I want my son to have everything and more. So I do pray for miracles for the fix. But outside of that, just being able to stop and wait on the Lord's strength is hard. So even
Oh
with
yeah.
faith, I
Well,
don't know how to do it sometimes.
you had a podcast with Tyler Hudson, and there was a segment in there that I messaged you. I like that hit me good because it was a segment on healing and like sitting in that space of praying for healing. Like for a little context, Tommy is a son with autism, non speaking autism. We have a lot of new listeners, so I don't know if they've listened to our podcast. Was it like 6 months ago?
Probably not already. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and many of my, the listeners know that my wife has been fighting cancer for 2 years. So, sit like the space of healing. We know that God can heal. We know He's powerful and He can do what He wants to do. But then also sitting in that space of surrender, of letting Him be God and do what He's going to do. It's so challenging. I think the first mindset shift that you have to get past is it is okay to sit in that space. It's not this and that. It's like it's both simultaneously.
Yeah, and I think because around that time was when I really had probably my biggest mental shift with I've been reading the New Testament, and what really came up is like when Christ was getting ready to be arrested, like he knew the time frame. He was going to the grove, like he's like, sit here and pray for me. I'm going to go off and pray. And he came back. He's like, the
You're
body,
sleeping.
yeah, what are you guys sleeping for? And he's praying, Lord, is there any way that you can take this cup from me? But essentially, your will be done. And when I read it for the third time, it's like, man, even our Lord and Savior didn't want this cup. He didn't want that suffering. He accepted because he knew what he had to do, but he still asked for it
Hmm.
inside of his own, struggle, right? But it was the first time for me to realize, man, if he struggled, like, hey, it's okay for me to struggle. It's definitely okay for me to ask for this cup to be taken for, but this is my cup. Your will be done, and may this bring glory to you.
Wow. Yeah. It's a awesome realization, but also a tough one. But I
Hmm.
think that's true surrender. It's like, this is the cup that I've been given. I've surrendered my life to you. Now the details is up to God to fill in,
Yeah.
but it's still us to live in that surrender.
Well, because inside of it is like the whole free will, right? Like God gave us free will. Now I understand that like God knows everything. He's seen it. He's played it out. Like so, like the connection between free will and like omnipresent and like just knowing all. Like I can understand like how that. Like I still struggle with that deeply, right? But He gives us time to do at least how we to accept what it is. Not maybe like okay, like yeah, things might be kind of planned out, or at least He knows what's going to happen. Like we all have an appointed time, right? But how, like in Ecclesiastes, when it's like talking about like some men will be happy and some men just won't. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean that they didn't have choice to be happy inside of things. And in James, where he's talking, basically be happy in all things uh, for the glory of God. And it is just like, be happy, be happy, be happy. There's no amount of worry or anxiety that's going to add a single day to your life. Proverbs and all of these different things where, and it says, do not be afraid. And I've been trying to do a little research because it says, 365 times is what
Yeah.
it said. I, I can't quite nail that down yet, but I think that I'm going to have like, that might be a mission to like go through. And because I read the whole New Testament here in the last 6 months. So I am going to start working some more Old Testament stuff, but I think that would be an interesting track, but it is just like, give it up to God. And that's really hard for people that are human, right? You are wanting your wife's healing, right? I would love to hear my son say he loves me again, but at the same point, he's still with me. So like the grace and the mercy that I still have with my son and the worry of the future, like that needs to be left for tomorrow. It's just hard to let that go.
Yeah, there's a worship song that I had such a hard time with, and they kept playing it at church. Of
Hmm.
course, it's called "Always on Time," and for the longest time, I listened to it, and I'm like, it's like God is always on time, always on time, and I'm like, you're not on time right now. Like in my circumstance, you're not on time because if you're on time, like you would have healed it by now.
Yeah.
But the I was missing the point of the song. The point of the song is about presence, and his presence is always on time. But it is like shifting past that, like asking God and sitting in expectation, but then not using God for what He can do, but sitting in like who He is,
Yeah.
and He's always on time, carrying you through your storm. it,
Well,
yeah,
and that's hard to see when you're walking through the storm.
oh yeah,
And the outcomes always aren't what we hope for. And honestly, you don't see. I don't know. See, here's the thing: the media really has wired us to the negative because that is what sells. I mean, I found really early on in the autism like social media world, like if it's not pretty heart wrenching, like it doesn't get a lot of views. Like
yeah, yeah.
people for whatever reason, and whether it's sorrow or just or that it's their way of being there for you, but it's like the positive side. And me, like I'm not trying to like I'm definitely more on the Tyler Hudson side of like I'm not trying to glorify this. I'm trying to help people find joy in the little things,
Yeah.
but I'm not trying to glorify a superpower. Now, yes, there are some children that do have this quote unquote superpower, and I'm super happy for them. But I am not here to glorify something that may not, may hold my son to the ability to live on his own. May have to be, if something happened to me and my wife, if my brother or somebody wasn't able to step up, like my son's getting committed somewhere. Like that's not to be glorified
Mm-mm.
in a human standpoint. Again, like I just have to trust in God that He'll care for him no matter what. But I found very early that it is just we're prone to the negative or the heart wrenching or the deep sadness because there is deep sadness. Um, People don't look for happy things. So you get really stuck on, well, where's all the miracles? Well, I'm sure there's a lot more miracles that we see. I mean, the rise of the sunshine is a miracle.
Right.
That bird that's sitting next to you that is chirping in your ear, that is actually the only thing that's keeping your nervous system from a total breakdown,
Yeah.
is a miracle. Um, but we're not wired to look for those things. So like Tyler was talking about, like in that same podcast when he was breaking down the fact that his faith, how did he say it? Basically, he was raised that if you're not getting your miracle, you need to remind God that you deserve a miracle. And when their miracle didn't come, like it really messed with his faith.
Right.
Now, listening to him, I feel like his faith is there and strong,
Yeah.
but it was just like a moment in time where you're questioning your faith. You're supposed to heal my son, Lord. That's everything. The faith of the mustard seed, move mountains. All of this stuff. Like, where's it at? Um, and having to shift the mindset to, like you said, like my on time and your on time are two totally different things.
They're polar opposites.
Yeah.
Well, then it's having that faith that, you know, the plan is perfect. We may not see it, we may not understand it, but it is what it is.
And the sooner we accept or shift into the is what it is mindset, like the less we miss. You have
Hmm.
four beautiful children that I can't encourage any parent enough to, inside the stuff that you're struggling with, it'd be really easy to miss very beautiful moments. And the stuff that you at least share online, and I have confidence in who you are, like you're a very engaged dad, and I think it's awesome. And you should be proud of yourself. Like seriously, of all things like that you maybe don't want to take praise for, the way it looks like you lead your family is phenomenal. With hardship, though, it'd be really easy to miss those little tiny moments where all of a sudden, like your kids, like a friend of mine was just talking about something and we had to talk through it. And I actually want to be really guarded on what I say because he listens to a lot of my stuff. So I won't go into the details, but he went through a stage where his daughter said something that he said, and it was really hard for him to hear. Basically, like, you work a lot, and we
Yeah.
talked through that, and I'm very confident he's a phenomenal dad. Like the first sign of a good dad or a good parent is you questioning, are you a good dad or a good parent or a good mother? Like that's the first sign that you are doing well, because you're actually here in body enough to know that maybe I am failing, or maybe I am like shortchanging a little bit, but I can turn this around. But they see everything and
They're always watching.
feeling everything. And like my daughter's getting old enough now to where I can see, and she's getting to the intellectual stage where she will talk to me about different things. And like, I'm going to be honest, sometimes it gets a little loud in the house, like, hey, don't do this, or get out of that, Wyatt, or don't climb on the wall. And like, it's just this up and down tension sometimes of or don't go to the road, or all of this, like, it's not anger, it's just like quick action, almost fear reaction, don't put that in your mouth. Or And she's just sitting there, silently. And I'm finally like getting it out of her. Like, do you feel like, I'm trying to help her understand what anxiety is? And she's like, does it feel like in your chest when you're like almost about to cry? And I'm like, yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. She's like, yeah, I feel that when it, gets, wild sometimes. And it's like,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to keep going where I was going with that. Being present in the moment through trauma is really really hard.
Well, I think a big piece of that is staying curious.
Mm,
That's one of the phrases in the personal development circle I'm in is put down shame and stay curious.
yes.
And there's so many times I'll get to the end of the day and I'll try and reflect on the day and see like where I could have shown up better. And this is not every day. It's not like I'm sitting there like writing down, oh, I could have done this and then I'm going to wake up and do this better and blah, blah, blah. It's just some of those moments where I'm laying there and I'm like, you know what? I was a total a hole
Mm,
saying that. But then I can immediately feel the shame come on. And it's like, your kids are struggling, they're dealing with grief and you didn't show up, blah, 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 blah. And then you can easily get down on yourself. But then it
mhm.
shifts real quick because of the work I've done to shape my mindset. It'll shift into like, okay, you know what? I failed there, but I'm going to wake up and just continue to try and do better. And that's all we can do.
And it is, it's all we can do. And just basically like to encourage parents, it's never too late to run to your child. Like if you
Right.
feel like they are like shutting you out or they are struggling, because I think especially with special needs is you pour so much into one. And there is a lot that goes into like the sibling, not regression, but like siblings struggling with resentment, siblings wanting to go other places to hang out with friends. Like you start seeing that. And when they are ready for either the reconciliation, depending on the age, because there's a lot of people that listen to our stuff that probably have grown kids
Mm-hmm.
and are starting to see this, is never be the parent that decides, well, they just don't want to talk to me, so I'm just going to hold my space. Continue to love them, continue to send them love, whether it's text or however you do it, and just remember that when they are ready, run to them. And
Yes.
I was just in a conversation with somebody, and it was about God's love. And again, this is just mindset for me because I've often felt like there's no way that like anybody wants this damaged body to walk through heaven's gates. And it goes back to God put two perfect people in a perfect Eden, right? And there's one thing, and he probably just knew it was going to be, and he hoped it had. I don't know how that works, but they ate the fruit. They hid from the father. What did the father do? He came looking for them. Hey, where are you
Mm.
guys at? Where are you guys hiding from me? He went to them. The prodigal son. He spent all his inheritance, drugs, debauchery, what have you. The father ran to the son. It's just all of these moments in the Bible where it's just like, run to your children if there is this question like, how did I do last night? Maybe I didn't do good. Well, then they're going to be my absolute focus the next day. They're going to be my absolute, like, that is going to be my number one thing, not to grovel. Doesn't need to be obvious. Just make sure that you're off your phone a little bit more. Make sure that you are interested in the cartoon that they're watching. Make sure you sneak that snuggle before they go to school. Like, don't let the yesterday dictate tomorrow, today.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I heard Matt Chandler, he's a pastor, and he said in one of his messages, when your kid invites you into their world, you jump into it
Mm,
fast, and that's where you can really start to show up and change things. For him, it was his son. He was like 40 something at the time, and his son asked him to start doing jujitsu. His son was like 17, and he's like, every part of him wanted to say no, but he's like, absolutely not. He's inviting me into his world. I'm going to go and
yeah.
get smashed. And that's what he did. But it formed a bond. And, looking back, like before this cancer journey, I didn't have this relationship with my kids.
Mm,
And it's one of those things I can look back at through these 2 years and be like super thankful for
hmm.
because I've had to be that person for them where they can't go to mom for everything.
Yeah.
But I had a choice to make. Like, am I going to step up and be that person, or I'm just going to keep, And I was just like the typical dad. You know, I was building my construction business. I worked a lot. I came home. I would play, but I would take the phone calls. I would, and not to like throw shade on that phase of life, because it has its place, and I had to do a lot of that building to get to where I am now. But then that's another thing, going through a difficult journey that I think anybody can relate to, is you have to have like a hyper vigilance on dwelling on the good.
Yeah.
And you have to look for it and find it and sit in that space, because those negatives, they will overtake you quicker than you can, quicker than you want.
Yep.
And then you can go down those trails on the woe is me.
Yep.
But until you throw down that barrier and like, no, I'm going to reject that. I'm going to sit in the good. People start to see that, and then they're like, "What the heck? Who are like? How do you do that? How are you even smiling right now? Like yesterday, my wife, she was released from the hospital, and I love wearing my Experience Miracles shirt in the hospital,
Yeah.
PX docs, which you know well about, and probably all of our listeners know because we always talk about it.
Yeah.
But you can't imagine like how many looks I get in double looks, and like, hey, I love that shirt. I
Yeah.
love that shirt in a hospital where there's like doom and gloom, where
Mm-hmm.
nobody's really having a good time, and just to wear that shirt, and then I was in the elevator, and this guy was like, that's a cool shirt. I'm like, yeah, man, you just got to look for it, find it every day. You're gonna see some. You're gonna see that miracle.
Yep.
You just got to look for it and sit in it, expect it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just shift into again, like it doesn't have to be pick up your cot and walk. Like for me, I took Wyatt
Mm,
to his chiropractor appointment yesterday, and I've not done that by myself more than probably two times. Like that's my wife; she's always on that. She's available. I'm doing the work thing. I'm involved in a lot, but to drop stuff and go to Medina, it's an hour, and it's not something I get to do.
yeah.
What I was able to experience so yesterday is Wyatt has always been a runner, and if there's a door, dude's going to go through it. He's going to open it, he's going to shut it, and he's going to go through it again. And when he first started going over there, like that was a big thing. Like Dr. Matt had to like basically like I'm going to do my adjustment, and then I'm going to stand in front of the door so you stay in here so I can talk to your mom. Like this dude was door open, I'm gone. I'm sitting there, and we give him his little phone to mess with when we go to places like that because it helps him just kind of like stay in the moment a little bit.
Yeah.
But doors open, he's just sitting there by himself, chilling, and to see him be able to be in an unfamiliar place with doors upon doors in this office,
Oh
and he's
yeah.
just killer chilling, like that is a miracle. That is growth beyond words in our life because he
Yeah.
doesn't run hardly at all anymore. He's not the
Wow.
eloping has almost gone away. And again, for us, like we were the barricade the door, locks upon locks, you know, putting, shutting windows a certain way because we were afraid he'd get out of windows. Like he wanted to get out wherever he was at. And now he doesn't. We can leave the back door with just the screen door open. We could never do that. We
That's
always had,
huge.
I mean, dude, those are miracles. And being able to shift into the mindset to look, to expect, but then to look for them and
Yeah.
enjoy them and celebrate them and shift into that gratitude. The gratitude is, and that's something that I have done so much more of. And I've got a list of things on the refrigerator that I look at almost every day. And it's like 10 things that I'm very, very grateful for. And when you go through that, especially you write it down in the moment, like there is like a chemical change that happens in the body. Just taking time to be grateful. And sometimes you have to search a little bit. Like I'm just thankful. I'm grateful. I'm awake today. I'm grateful for a shot. One of the things that I've worked through with my one coach is like the wins. And
Ooh.
sometimes like the win is just I made it through the day. Like I'm
Yeah.
alive. I got to fight through another day. Like it was a win.
Uh-huh.
Looking through the glass half full compared to half empty is a learnt.
Yeah.
thing for many.
And then it's subtle too, you know. Once you focus on them, you find them, you acknowledge them, and then they just start stacking. And then you look back and you're like, how the heck did I get here?
Yeah.
But it's that clarity of, you know where you want to go. Um, and then, you get into your habits, like, do the habits I have today match the future I want for myself?
Mm,
And then if you start to live in that person, you see yourself in 2 years, start living it now, it catches up and then you're that person.
yeah. I love that because if you can sit there and look at who you want to be
Yeah.
and reverse engineer it essentially and start doing those things right now, it is a game changer. And I listened to this process recently, and this dude, he was really, it was on Instagram or something, and dude was like, I want to do this with you guys, but I need you to close your eyes. He's like, I know this is a recording, I know this is a phone, and you're not going to want to shut your eyes, but if you don't shut your eyes, this will mean nothing and you'll scroll. And for whatever reason, I stayed, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, close my eyes. I'm gonna listen to this guy on.
Yeah.
But he went through what you would if you were 10 years older,
Yeah.
and if you could go back to you 10 years ago, like, and he went through all these things that you might say because you wanted to, this is who you wished you knew. This is what you needed to know 10 years ago to be who you are now. And it was a really cool, like, long drawn out thing. Like, I want to be more calm, or I want to be more collected, and all these things. And he's like, so you know all those things now. You're 10 years older. He's like, open your eyes. He's like, you're 10 years you're 10 years back. You're at that point where, like, all these things that we just went through, your mind, you're 10 years ahead. Now you're back in that person I just said. If you could go back 10 years and tell yourself all these things,
Mm.
does that make sense? I know I'm
Yeah.
like really cryptic, but it's like when he went through it, you're in this, like, okay, I'm 38. So in my head, I'm 48. If I knew what I knew now at 38, and he's like, open your eyes. He's like, you just gained 10 years to change your life because now you see who you want to be in that period of time. And it was like, oh, that is pretty cool. Because the best time to plant a tree was yesterday or 10 years ago. And it's
Right.
like, okay, open your eyes. You're in the now. What do you want to change? Start now. Start today. Shift out of the negative and into the positive. And that's easier said than done when you're dealing with, illness, when you're dealing with profound autism, when you're dealing with bankruptcy, all these different things that people is life changing.
And it's
Um,
the simple. I want to get into, like, how also, when did you start getting into the mindset work, and how that's played out, and how it's got you to where you are. But it's that simple phrase, everything is happening for you. It's
mm,
not happening to you, because then you turn into a victim, but it's happening for you. Like, how is cancer happening for me? How
it's
is having a son with profound autism or a daughter happening for you? That's a hard question to answer, because you your immediate response is, nah, f this, no, no. There is nothing that can be good that comes out of this.
nothing sometimes. And it's so, and people have to be, even listening right now, you have to just listen with an open heart because
Yes.
I was in a deep conversation. A guy came in from California. He was doing some training, and he stayed here. And we were up one night. This is probably a year and a half ago, and he's drinking a bottle of wine. I'm having a couple drinks, and it's getting into the wee hours. And this dude went through it. He owned a really awesome business. His son was really successful in another company. His son had a massive heart attack at like 48, and then his grandson committed suicide, overdose, one of those. It was like in that ballpark within 6 months,
Oh,
leading to him close. And this dude is like the most, like, he's climbed Mount Everest. He's climbed, what was it, Mount Fiji. Like, this dude is like, he's known in the chimney industry as the most interesting man in the world. Like, the dude is He's 72, and his main goal still is, and I can't tell, it's up in the northern hemisphere, but it's like you have to drop in, and it's like this huge,
Oh
insane
gosh.
waterfall. Like he's insane, dude. Anyways, we were talking profound autism. We were talking his life. Like he's opening up. Like we're having a really serious conversation, and I said I have to believe that in all things are going to work together for the good, in all things. Like, and dude
Mhm.
got mad. Like you talk about, you see like the rage come out. So when I say people listening to mindset shift and how is any of this good, like you have to listen to it with an open heart, take it with a grain of salt. And I respected him for being angry. Like he was still obviously in severe grieving. Several years had gone by. The dude's still heavily grieving his son and his grandson, right? And and I understood it. It wasn't like I'm like gonna shove it down your throat. Like, no, this is gonna be good. Something good has got. And he's like, how could anything good come out of this? I don't know. I don't know what good. I don't know what. But here's the thing. In my world, I have figured out the good is my lust for life, my want
Yeah.
to be better, the conversation I had with God on a mountain in Arizona that led me to understanding that not only was I going to have to live forever, but I was going to have to live better. I was going to have to change my life. I was going to have to chase Christ. Like all of these things that had to shift because it wasn't just about me anymore. And I think when you have a family that is healthy and the money is flowing, like you don't need to lean on God. You don't need to have these conversations. You don't like. I started a coaching program for employees, and like the way that I
Nice.
had really set it up was like to help like burn out more, like guys that are going through something, help them get on fire again, right? Well, the
Yeah.
group that I have, like they've not gone through anything super hard, and they're like really happy, and like they just want to learn, and it's like, okay, that's fantastic. You don't need mindset when everything is good. You don't
Right.
need it until you've gone through some fire. And like I've just told a lot of guys, like God must have really wanted to fire the steel in my life because I have been in the furnace for 20 years, I think. And he's
Yeah.
just refired it and refired it and refired it. It's like, Lord, I'm good. Like I don't
Yeah.
want any more.
That's kind of how I feel right now. I'm like, okay, I think I've learned it.
Yeah.
End it.
Um, and
His
something that
time.
has really helped me is God didn't save Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from the fire. They went in the fire. They went. Think of the anxiety and the fear
Ooh.
and the like. Think about it. Like which portrayed as a childhood story is like, oh, I just looked in. And there's these three guys. Now the angel, like he came pretty fast, I think. But leading up to that, the fear and anxiety. They were human beings, dude. They walked
Yeah.
into this burning furnace. They knew what it was. He
Right.
didn't save them from the furnace, the fear, but then he was there. He didn't save Daniel from the lion's den. He was there with him. The fear again from getting thrown in this pit with lions, like I know that like when Daniel was like, "Oh, you're here with me," like, okay, I'm good. But there was still that moment of like, "Whew, this isn't going to end very good." I like
Yup.
Right, and maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe they were just so stricken with their faith that they just were totally cool as a cucumber. So I don't want to speak entirely, but my human mindset is they were still humans, right?
They're still
There was
human.
still anxiety, there was still pain, and that goes to me as like I don't know if Jesus felt fear, but he felt something enough to ask, like, is there any way that I can skip this? So like there
Hmm.
had to be still anxiety and sorrow and like so when I go to that, it's like God didn't save them from the fire of the lion's den, but he was still there with them and the comfort that he gave them immediately. So when the mind for me, the mindset did start 7 years ago
Uh-huh.
when I was in Arizona, to get back to that question, was just realizing that I was so broken with panic attacks and the fear of the future and everything seemingly falling apart. And so the good for me inside of this is just my awareness, my ability to now look and like not only is this fearful, but there's still little now. He's still little now. He's 11, and I look back and I think, man, I did kind of blow some time off, like because I was
Hmm.
so worried about these things. And if I don't start working on myself and pouring into my health, like I can't be present because when you're not healthy, you can't handle stress. When you can't handle stress, it leads to panic. And when you're in panic mode, you're not enjoying anything, and your kids know it. So it's not a matter of if you should shift into mindset, if you should lean on, your faith. It's a matter of how, like, we need to start now. It's one shot, one go around. So that's why I guess I am trying to pour more and more time into the mindset, because I don't have a fix for autism. I don't have a magic drug. I don't have, the therapy that's going to change them overnight. Now we know a lot with PX docs, and like they are changing kids' life, but that's also not an overnight experience
Yeah.
most times.
Right.
So for me, it is realizing that I'm a human, and I know that God is with us. I know that Christ is with me. I know that the Holy Spirit is moving in this community with people like you, that are pouring time in, and the endless amount of other people that are advocating. Like the Holy Spirit is moving inside of this community. There's no question inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'd have told me a year ago that I'd be speaking this much faith on podcasts with people and just proclaiming it openly, I'd be like, I mean, I don't know. But
Right.
that's the good that comes out of it, is because we don't need to lean on God. We don't need to lean on our faith if everything is good. And most people, like the story of Lazarus and the beggar is like, he looks up, and the beggar's up here with Christ, and he's down here. And I'm like, Lord, he's like, could you just let him dip his finger in the water? Like, he's like, dude, you had your good stuff. And like, that's a hard story, I think, especially for like rich people, because it's like, he was rich. It's not about rich. It's about still making time for your faith and giving back and loving the Lord and knowing that it all comes from him. But I look at that as like, if you don't have hardship, you're not aware of really what life is about. And life needs to be living for. And like you were talking about telling the story, and the Robertsons, you ever listen to the Robertsons podcast, The Unashamed? The Duck Dynasty guys?
Oh, okay. No.
Super podcast. But I think it was Jace was talking about, if you don't tell your story, if you don't share your story, well, the story that God gave you, the story that God is creating for you, it's a disservice to God. Like God is the whole reason we are talking, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if we don't share our struggles and the things that he has brought us through, we're shortchanging God. Like, he's painting the portrait. Now we are the ones that have to share it. Does that make sense? Like,
Totally.
being willing to share through the struggle, through the hardship, and
it's getting over yourself.
yeah,
It's like the picture I sent you yesterday. Every morning I have a daily reminder. It's bigger than you. Stop being a blank. Fill in the blank. Whatever it
mm-hmm.
is for you. It's bigger than you. So lean into that. And then getting over your ego too. Even early on, like starting the podcast and posting, I'm like, I don't know. Should I post this? Should I say this? Blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, in the past months, like full send. I don't care.
Yep.
I'm not posting for my friends. I'm posting for that one person that it hits.
Yep.
And if it hits multiple, great.
Yep.
But if it's
100%.
if it's on my heart and I feel like, it's gonna land somewhere, just send it.
It's all about the one. And it is like, again, I've been in the New Testament, and I'm in Acts. I guess I was just finishing up Acts, so Christ is gone. The disciples are figuring stuff out. And, it was like, what, 300 maybe they had followers, and then it was 3,000. And this went to their 5,000. And just like, to me, it's like just the power of one. And I'm not trying to create disciples. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about trying to help one person have the bandwidth to get through one more day, to find the miracle in the day. And that might just be the sunrise. It might be the sunset, the night of sleep, the just the quiet moment in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Those miracles are what we need to look for. So if our work, and I do consider what you are doing, what I am doing, I do believe that I am doing this for God. I'm doing this to help. So even if I don't always talk my faith, I know that we're supposed to care for the weary.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are, because I am. I'm still weary a lot of times. It's like,
right.
I want to reach that one person. And so the ego has to be totally removed. I went through it last year with a lot of people not really believing that I should be doing, and it's silly or it's a whatever. And I'm not doing this for them. I'm not
Yeah.
doing this to impress.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, yeah, you want to be received, but the right people that need to hear it will hear it. And if that's 20 people, great.
20 people. Well, you could think like I was hanging out with the my homie who edits the podcast, and we were talking about followers.
Mm,
And he's like, dude, you put out a reel, it gets 500 hits. That's imagine 500 people in a room. That's
yeah,
a lot of people.
yeah.
And then, we see it like we want thousands and whatever. But I quickly, I'll look at it. I don't like looking at it, but you got to really check yourself. And it's like, that's not what this is about at all.
It's hard because I do agree because you're like you put work into certain things. So it's like the artistic side of me because I was a
Right.
big music guy. I
And we're
wrote stuff and
competitive, dude. We're
yeah,
dudes.
yeah, competitive you. It's just like I thought that and it's just like it found the one person that it
Yeah.
needed to. And yeah, it's like I mean, I never thought that I'd be worrying about. So I just got a new phone. I don't have it hooked up yet, but I told him I've never been so excited about a phone because it's got a nice camera. It's got like I'm thinking, the things that I can do, and I laugh at myself because I made fun of people that did this. But like I have a purpose inside of this. And again,
Right.
it's like this little light of mine, I'm gonna let shine. Like that silly little child song is like God gave me this light, and He is the light because everything else in me is not full of light. And it's like I'm gonna let this shine. And if you receive it, if you like it, if you can use it, great. If not, pass on by. I'm good.
Right. Right. There was a law professor at my university, Bob Goff. You ever heard of him?
I'm gone. That kind of sounds
He
familiar for
he
some
wrote the
reason.
book Love Does,
Hmm.
and he's super. He's got a bunch of books, and he's like super encouraging guy. One of those guys that like he's just always like, "Do you ever have a bad day?" Like one of
Mm-hmm.
those guys. And he has this quote that it stuck with me. He said, "I used to be afraid at failing, but now I'm more afraid of being successful at the wrong things."
Mm.
And when I sit in that, I'm like, "Oh man, like being successful at getting likes. It's probably this. That's the wrong.
Yeah.
That's failing."
That is failing, and like you said, 500 people. Like I spoke in Puerto Rico and I spoke in Kansas City this year. One was mental health, and then one was on autism awareness. And the one it had like 350 people in the room.
Yeah,
That gave me like at 100%, like okay, 300 people in the room. That's a lot of people.
there's a lot of
So
people.
enjoy. It's like enjoy the views, and honestly, the guys that have the million hits, you can't talk to all those people. You can't impact all those people. And I don't really talk to a lot of people anyways, but it's still just like you can only impact so many. And then
Right.
it becomes fake or fictitious or however you want to say it. And it's just like and honestly, I I started the social media to try to drive people to the podcast.
Mhm.
Because I run a company, I am a dad, I'm a husband, I'm on the fire department, I donate my time. Like I'm pretty busy. So I can't be everybody's therapist either. So I'm like, well, I'll just put my stuff into a podcast. And if it gets found, it gets found. And then it's like, well, you get on social media, it's free advertising. Or am I going to just stand in the road like with a sign that says, hey, listen to my podcast? Like,
Right.
and then you realize, holy cow, you can like reach people here. And maybe it is only 300 at a time. I mean, I couldn't believe how well like the Did You Knows
Oh,
went. Like
those are awesome.
and it
They
just
blew
happened
up.
like I didn't plan that, Zach, at all. I did two in a row where I was like, I said it, did you know? I'm like, oh, I could keep doing that. Ooh, I
Hmm.
could do that 3 times a day for the next 30 days. And I didn't hit 90, I hit like 87. But it's like, I was just shy of a million views on just those little short clips. And it wasn't that the content was good. It was just people needed it.
Yeah.
they just needed to be heard. Like some of those ones that blew up, like the one was like 300,000 views, just the one. And it was just like, they just needed to be heard in the fact that it affects their work schedule, that
Mm-hmm.
that they have to make a decision to either care for their child, or go to work. Like that is how hard this is. You don't have the care set up for a lot of these profound children. So again, it's like what you are doing, whether it's 200 views, 300 views, 300,000 views, if it reaches the one,
The one.
and that, so for us, the mindset outside of just the struggles that we're dealing with is not letting something that God obviously wants us to both do, not letting it not bring us anything but joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're doing what God is intending us to do, and I full heartedly feel like we are, then maybe not all the time, but like you said, it fills you up, it fills your cup. So does it for me. So if we have the bad view on the whatever, it's like, it's just, maybe that wasn't from the heart, I guess. I don't know. Like God speak through me.
Post the next one.
Yeah.
You know,
Post it.
and
Post, post.
I hope this is encouragement for the audience to just keep moving, keep going.
Yeah.
You know, like lean into that purpose and send it. And you know, there's always that other side, and you know, there are tons of hard times every day. Like, what are some ways to that you get yourself out of that quickly?
So I'm glad you said that because that was a huge shift for me, trying to get to a point of this utopia. And in my head, it's just like, when I get through this thing, I'll be better. The first thing that I finally broke through was understanding that the hard times will never stop. They're just going to
Yes.
be different. Right
Truth.
now it's, profound autism. Maybe I break my leg. Maybe I break my back. Maybe this, whatever, bankruptcy, all these different things that come through life naturally. Dad passes away, cancers hit, all of these things that are always going to come. And when I finally had the breakthrough understanding that the bad time, like the world has fallen. There is no utopia. There was once, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And understanding that, because like what my coach kept saying to me over and over and over is like, what's going to hold you back from the things that you need to do this week? And I'd be like, nothing, coach, I'm good. I got this. Like the macho crap. And he finally was just like, all right, cut the shit.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, the same stuff that got you here could happen next week. So let's understand that the hard things that come, you're not surprised by them. If you
Hmm.
expect, not in an anxiety, not in a
Yeah.
doom and gloom, not in a, oh man, the sky is falling. No, just understanding that your car might break down, the flat tire might happen, you might overdraft the account, the kids might have whatever sleepless night. Understanding that they are going to come, and just being prepared that like I'll be ready. It's not shocking. It's like when my basketball coach, my shooting coach that I had for years, he's like, stop acting like you've not missed before. You've
Mm.
never made every shot. So he's like, I never want to see a reaction when you miss. It just didn't go in the hole. Stop acting like you don't miss. And just understanding that the problems are going to come. So that shift for me was understanding that stuff's hard. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got that out of the way. There's no more surprise. There's no more shock. Like life is hard.
Hmm.
So the shift for me though, in the moment, like when the anxiety starts to hit, you'll see me doing breathing exercises a lot. That is something that I have gone to a lot. I try to find a quiet place. That doesn't always happen. So the 4 breaths in, 4 breaths hold, 4 breaths out, 4 breaths holding while you're out. That is a proven military tactic. That 10 repetitions in that case is enough to shift the nervous system, usually from fight or flight into a rest and digest. So
Oh, that's
it is
good.
just as many as 10. I did that military 8 minute nap or whatever you want to call it, but I spent 8 minutes on the floor with zero input, eyes closed. That totally shifted my mindset because I was bouncing around, was getting ready for that coaching meeting. I was working in the field, like just again what dads do.
Hmm.
You're bouncing all the time. So
Yep.
those are a couple quick little things that I'll do in the moment. But honestly, also like if you're in a place where you can walk, get outside. If you got a lunch and you have 30 minutes and it's been a hard day, or you have the kids and you don't get away from the house, get in the backyard and get as many steps as you can in 15 minutes. as many steps as you can in 10 minutes. As long as you put in at least 5 minutes of anything, anxiety hates action.
Yes.
Action stops anxiety.
Yep.
So as soon as you start feeling the anxiety, because that is everything for me in mindset, is like I can't have a good mindset when I'm sitting in anxiety. So shifting out of that anxiety and into action. So anxiety is like a green light, right? It means go. You need to do something. You need to solve the problem. You need to, say the prayer. You need to say I love you. You need to make the call. Like whatever that it is triggering you, is like shifting that mindset into go stops a lot of the yuck. At
Yeah.
least those are some things that have helped me.
No, for sure. And I have posted about it a little bit ago, but the common thing you want to do when times are tough and you're going through it is to go numb.
Mm-hmm.
Is to stay idle, to go, numb out on binge watching Netflix or scrolling, and you just no action. Because for some reason, then you don't have to think about it. It's easier. You just numb out and you don't think about it, but you're just stuffing it down. And then eventually it's going to surface. And that's one of my biggest with my mentor coach. He's like, "How can I pray for you? How can I pray for you?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just want prayer of protection that I don't do anything stupid."
Mm.
And he's like, "Okay, well, yes, but what are you going to do along the way to prevent that from happening?" And it's like this stuff, you have to have a hypervigilance and clarity on who you are and how you're operating. And when some of those things start to get out of whack, you got to get back on the path. And that's the main message I preach to my kids. I'm like, you guys are off the path right now.
Yeah.
You're acting like wild child.
Yeah.
Get back on the path. It's
Yes.
always a choice. Everything comes down to a choice. What choice are you going to make? And then when you go down those roads, like you can make the effective choice or you can make the numb choice. Where is it going to get you?
Yep.
And then you see things through that lens, and it's like it's actually easier to put in the work because you're not going to end up over here, and then you have to backtrack to get back on the path.
Yep. And unfortunately, like me, you do have to like walk through the briars for a little while for it to hurt
Yeah,
bad enough to get back on the path.
totally.
Y- But no, that's so good.
And then having the people in your corner. Like
You've got
I
to
have
have a.
three
Yep.
main guys. I can ask them anything. I can talk to them about anything. They've all been through stuff, some hard, gnarly stuff,
Yep.
and I can tell them exactly my thoughts, and they'll quickly correct or they'll confirm.
I like that. Correct and confirm, because those are, because sometimes we have created a story.
Yes.
And honestly, many times, and that's something my coach talks a lot about, is a thought will last for 90 seconds unless you attach a story to it, and then it
Oh,
grows.
yeah.
So and I'm bad at that. I will write books in my head about the possibilities. What's going to happen when I go over there and he says the wrong thing, and then it's like blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Uh-huh.
bro, like, why are you doing this? No, but the waking up and like the shift. One thing for me that helped a lot last year, because I don't know if we talked about this, and people that listen to me, like I try to not bring the same things up again, but there was a lot of big things that happened last year. One of the things that really set me down was on our fire crew. We lost one of our guys in a home fire. So he was 41. He went in, stress overtook him. He had a massive heart attack, and that was it. I
Oh,
was one of four guys not on that call. We're all volunteer. We've all worked together for, I mean, I'd worked with him for 10 years. Super dude, like just loved the fire department. Inside of that, one of they're called emergency response team, and they're old firemen that have gone through different things, and they've turned, not turned into psychiatrists, but they've turned into mental health coaches, because you see your buddies die, or you see like child fatalities, like you see a lot on the department, right? And that, well, coupled with a few other things, like I just absolutely deconstructed. If you listen back to my podcast around last April, I'm sure you could hear it in my voice, like I was cracked. I didn't stop the podcast. I didn't stop the social media, but I was self-destructing,
Mm-hmm.
which is what led me to stop drinking. I was in self-destruct mode. What this one guy told me was probably the most powerful shift that you could make right at the beginning of the day, because a lot of us, we go to bed feeling blue, sad, self-destruct, worried about things that we're going to do. And we wake up and immediately get stuck right back in that cycle. And what he said to us, because again, John was 41, he died on his birthday. It was just ridiculous, right? It shouldn't happen that way. And this guy was like, okay, this is what I want to walk you through. He's like, I need everybody to understand that every day you wake up with two things, God given, every day, two things. And I'm just like, and I'm not, at this point, I'm like, I don't need anyone to talk to me. I don't want to be here. I just,
Yeah.
I want this. And he's like, you get two things. He said, you get a chance and a choice. If your eyes open, you have just been delivered your chance. You have the day. He said, then you have the choice. You have your chance. You have your choice. Choose to be grateful.
Ooh.
And it's just like, it's the simplest little thing. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. But for me, it was just like, you have a chance and a choice. Live your life, choose to be grateful. Like, just,
Yeah.
that's it. Just choose to be grateful. And it for me has been enough for me often to shift out of that woe is me,
Mm-hmm.
the yuck, the disdain, this why do these things happen to good people?
That's the enemy question. Why?
Mm,
And then, yeah, on the other side of it, it's like the two, for me, I think the two big enemies of mindset that can get you off the path and into deconstruct mode is comfort and isolation.
mm.
It's like you always need somebody speaking into your life. Even if it's a podcast or a YouTube short, something like you post a lot of epic little reels that I hear, and I'm like, oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that for the next couple hours. And just
And
like simple truth, it can
but
lift you out.
it can, and the thing is like you know how fast algorithms look. If you look at the wrong thing's popping up all the time. When you
Hmm.
search for the good, the good pops up. I need those as much as anybody else, and that's why I post them all the time, because
Right.
my algorithm is autism, Christ, hunting, and epic positive, because I've had to guard my mind, because I'm so fragile that one thing can set me back 10 years. One thing can set
Yeah.
me back in this moment. Not that you shouldn't work through the grief. Like, anytime you're struggling with grief, and there's grief in profound autism, I don't care who you are, it's like there are stages of grief when you realize that your child might not be able to live a normal life. So you still have to work through that. But going back and recycling that grief is not healthy either. So guarding yourself is not hiding from what is. And for me, it is just like, I guard my algorithm to feed me positive, epic mindset stuff, because mindset is simple,
It's
but
simple.
it's a hard choice.
It's a hard
You have to
choice.
choose to guard your mind from the crap that the world will throw at it and say, yeah, you should be sad. You should be this. You should be broken. You should isolate. Um,
I wish it was
Gosh,
the other way around, where
well, that's why
it'd be easier to choose good.
we have to continue to do what we're doing, because people have poured into us, right? People have poured into you. I
Yeah.
know that they have, and I know that, and I've said it before, like, I'm pouring into others because so many people,
Hmm.
so many strangers, dude, like, there's no way that there's not a God. The amount of people at the right time, like, and again, I've got so many things that I could talk about in my past that led me here, and a lot of it is not just inside of autism, but the things that these people help me with, like the forgiving myself for things in my life, that, like, those people poured in so much. God poured so much into them to pour into me, that now it's like, if I don't try to pour into at least that one person, then I'm doing such a disgrace to what they did for me, what God did for them. So yeah, the world is extremely negative, and that's where we guard our mindsets, so that
these people that hopefully are listening can have that. Like, we're very normal people. We're two normal people that shouldn't have met, other than God wanted us to, so that we could have these conversations. That it's like we struggle with mindset, like you said. You post this stuff, but like then 5 minutes later, I'm like, like before this
Yeah.
podcast, I was actually kind of struggling with some stuff. I was in a dark, like frustrated place, and it's just like, I need to. But that's how quick you can shift outside of it.
Yes.
It's like it's a choice to sit in this. Now there are moments where like you just got to. It is
Yeah.
what it is. You have to work through the grief. You have to work through because of and I know that we're going. I don't want to keep keeping you. I love these conversations. So I
Oh,
know that
good.
sometimes we can ramble, but like I was telling my coach, I just want to get back to who I was, and he's like, you won't.
Mm.
He's like, you won't get back to who you were. You're going to be different. This is a new normal. John is not coming back. Your son is not going to maybe, even if he did start speaking again, you're not going to get back that time that was hard and all these different things. You're not going to be back there. Now you have the opportunity to be more. You have
Mm.
the opportunity to fill your cup with, yes, some hardship, but be able to pour it out for others and help them through that time. You're going to be more. What you were was less. And it's like, ah,
It's like we're just preaching to ourselves,
yeah,
like the stuff we put out. And it's funny when you think of that when you see other people's stuff, and you're like, oh, they're struggling with that, and they're preaching to themselves. They had a breakthrough, and they
yeah.
want others to know, and it's
That's
awesome.
that's probably the exact best way like you could ever put it. It's like, yeah, we're just preaching to ourselves because it's like I ain't got none of this figured out. I
No,
just have enough. I have enough of a snorkel
right?
that I can get just enough oxygen
Yeah.
to to give what I have.
Uh huh. And that's
'Cause-
going back. That is what we were called to do.
yeah,
Just send it. Send it.
send it,
I
dude.
mean, what let's end it with like three mindset hacks. The first one was you mentioned already is just coming to the realization that the world is broken. That hard stuff's gonna happen. You don't have to sit in fear like, oh, it's gonna happen to me. But like just, when it comes, it's gonna happen.
Yep. Yeah, that one's a huge one. And I think it's one that you're going to have to do the work on. And when I say do the work, like sometimes you just need to write down like what you're actually feeling. And I've done a lot, and it's because my coach is big on this, and it's the Byron Katie, Loving What Is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh
it's a
yeah.
really, really, really unique book. And he's a God fearing guy that I work with, super awesome mentor. But um, I said, as a Christian, maybe you won't align with all things in it. And because I didn't know how he would receive it. And he's like, eat the fish, spit out the bone. Like, get what you can out of all things. And I guess I would add that to our mindset thought is like, it might not, because we were talking about like, how can anything good come out of this? We're not talking about everything's going to be good. Um, eat the fish, spit out the bone.
Mm-hmm.
That has been a big mind shift thing for me. Take what you can out of the situation, and that might just be a hug,
Yeah.
like just knowing that someone's there.
And it's important to realize too that sometimes your homies are going to have to carry you through it, and you're going to have to let them.
Hmm.
And that's the whole point. Sometimes they're gonna have to. You just gotta let it happen.
It's so good too. It's like, and it is just leaning on. And have you ever seen the tapestry? I don't know if it's a tapestry, but or like the picture of the footprints in the sand. Have you ever seen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it never hit me so hard as it did when I was in Puerto Rico. And it is just like when you look back and you're like, Lord, where were you? Like you were, it's like, oh, I was carrying you.
Mm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because that's the only way that we can get through the things that we work through. And in a literal world, it is hard to be like, well, that doesn't feel
I don't feel
like
like it.
like it. So trust the process. And I guess that's another thing that is just a mindset shift for me is trusting the process, trust the plan. Your will be done. And that
Your
is just
will be
something that I
done.
have to continue, like, here am I, send me. Get in the scripture. If you don't have the faith, explore it.
Yeah.
Um,
Be curious.
be curious to yeah, you said that earlier, like with our children, it's just like, be curious, ask the questions. Answers lead to peace. Now, some answers can't be seen, but there's a lot of clarity that I've found deep reading over the last year that I, even with a strong faith, never really broke down.
And as cliche as it is, we've mentioned it. You you have to seek the good. Sit in gratitude.
Yeah. Sit
You
in
know,
gratitude.
I was having this conversation with my wife, and we're talking about the kids and how they're they have to watch mom suffer,
Mm,
and my wife, she's had to we've had to fight through some of that, like their childhood is ruined. But then quickly, when I have those thoughts, I think of the other side, and it's like, what an opportunity of our kids being forged into a force
yeah.
because of this situation. And then it comes down to me leading them through it.
Yeah.
And then that's where the competitive comes in.
Yep.
It's like, all right, bring it. You know, they're God's gift to me. I'm their dad. I'm going to need strength from you, God,
Yep.
to lead them through it. And with that mindset, it's really shifted. Like, all right, what can we make of this?
We're gonna make a life out of it. And what Tyler, and we can leave it with this, because I loved it when Tyler said it, and I think that you'll appreciate it too. Is the scene with Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp when Doc was dying, and he's like, "What do you want, Wyatt?" He's like, "I just want to live a normal life." And he's like, "There is no normal life. There's just life. Go on and live it." And it's just like, these are our moments, and we can make them what we can. And there is hardship, and there is trauma, and there is sadness, and there is tears, but there is joy. And where we have to seek that is like, it is our opportunity, not anyone else's.
Yeah.
I can lead a horse to water. I can't make him drink. I can't make you get through your hardship. You can't make me get through mine. It is a choice. And that is, if there is any better explanation, I'm not the guy that can give it. It is just simple mindset to me is, it is a choice. Choose to be grateful.
Yeah.
And take it on is what it is.
There is no normal life.